Hey everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. It's Dan, Nico, and Just back at you again with another bonus episode, but this is a special one. We're celebrating today. Dan, what are we celebrating?
We are celebrating Don't Open That Door's 1 year anniversary. 1 year of us.
Round of applause. Can we get a round of applause, please? Round of applause. Thank you. So yeah, guys, I mean, it's been a little bit of a ride for this first year. But I guess, as they say in The Sound of Music, the beginning is a very good place to start. So I want to talk a little bit to the listeners about how we got started. Because I mean, you guys know this story, or you should, because you were there. But we were all friends in those times of light, pre-COVID. And I kind of mentioned to the crew that I wanted to do a horror podcast. So one time, I was visiting Dan up in his undisclosed location, and we just, we watched a random episode of Dan. Do you remember what show it was that we watched?
Yes. I can't remember what it was called, but it was that one like high school one. You continued watching it afterwards.
Oh, Totally Spies? That show fucking whips.
No, it was
Dead ass it does, though. Go back and watch it.
It was like a high school joint. It was a Netflix original with zombies.
Different factions and I can't remember what it was called. Yeah.
Where was one of the factions? The Nary motherfuckers.
No, that was a good ass movie though.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like, we watched that. We did a real quick, very short kind of reaction, our thoughts on it. And, I listened to it on the train ride back home and I fucked with it. But, the soup would never be complete without Nico. So, when I got back
stove first,
when I got back home, I definitely reached out to both you guys saying, hey, you guys, should we give this a go? And, the rest is pretty much history. And our first episode was The Conjuring. You guys remember getting together to do that for the first time?
Yeah.
Not getting together, but yeah.
I mean, okay.
Virtually,
I mean, virtually
Peek behind the
together.
screen, the very, very sad screen. We actually haven't met up in person to do this podcast yet.
Yeah, we all live in different areas, so it's all virtual and remote for us anyways.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true.
But, Nico, you and I did get the chance to watch one of the movies that we reviewed for the podcast together, though I don't think we watched it
with the intent of reviewing it on the podcast at the time.
Yeah, I didn't.
Talking about Color Out of Space,
Yeah, Color Out of Space.
Yeah. God,
I think that's the only movie. So another thing, I mean, as you guys can probably tell from the date, we started the podcast in February and everything shut down in March. So there was a very, very, very brief time period where I got to see Nico. We hung out and I think we watched Color Out of Space at that point in time. But, we've had to do a lot of learning in general as, not just us, but this country in general over the course of this lockdown. But what's some stuff that you guys have learned along the way? I mean, Dan, I'm going to start with you. You seem like a very learned individual. What have you learned?
I've learned that discussion really does deepen my understanding and appreciation. I'm very much a person, like when I'm reading or watching a movie or doing whatever, like I'm doing that. And then once I'm done, I don't really think about it very much. So like once I finish the movie, I'm like, okay, that was a good movie, or no, it wasn't a good movie. And then like the next day, I don't really think about it. So it's been sort of a journey for me to have this discussions, and it just brings a greater understanding of the movie, the different sort of plot points that either I missed or the themes that I didn't get. It just helps me expand my understanding and appreciation of whatever we watched or read or whatever.
Got you. And Sir Nico, I need you to ride in on your blazing steed.
Oh, shit.
What was something you've learned?
All right, well, hush there, gallant hoof, my flaming steed. Jesus
Your horse's
Christ.
name is Gallant Hoof.
My horse's name is Gallant Hoof, motherfucker. Is that a problem?
No, I mean, not really.
Good, because then we would have some problems. I don't know what this bit is. Anyway, something that I learned is really just how much Dan took a route that was more focused on the podcast aspect of it and like discussion aspect of it. I'm just going to focus straight on the core of it, film for the most part. I think it is just amazing how much color matters in a movie. even in a genre that can be sometimes as bleak as horror, getting your lighting right, getting your coloration right, making sure that you have actually good shots really does help elevate what would otherwise be something that is just mediocre otherwise.
Got you. I think from my perspective, probably the thing I learned the most was social media stuff. Because, before I'd only ever really used social media as an individual, not trying to build a brand or anything like that. I had to spend a lot of time learning about, hey, this is, this kind of stuff works for us in terms of posting. This doesn't. When's the best time to post? How often should you be posting? Am I good at that? Sometimes. So I think that was a big learning curve for me, because going from somebody who only ever used social media as just, kind of a nobody to attempting at least to build a brand, it's difficult. And there's a lot of learning along the way. So that's probably it for me. I mean, I know you guys have to learn about that stuff too, right? Mm-hmm. Although, Dan was already a genius. Dan was already, dear listeners, Dan was already a genius.
No.
His parents had him working on social media from the very young age of 4 years old. Where other kids got piano lessons, Dan just learned how to be a social media mogul.
Yep.
Son, why aren't you getting more views on Mommy and Dad's Zynga account? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll get back to it. Let me know when LimeWire is invented.
Yo, LimeWire was a wild period of time, bro.
Yeah,
You could be downloading a file.
Yeah.
You could be downloading a file and not know what the fuck you got. I'm over
Just
here
like watching some of the horror movies we saw here, we didn't know what the fuck we were getting into.
Jesus Christ. Well, let's talk about that. No, I'm glad you said that. Let's talk about that.
I'm glad I said it too, motherfucker. Shit.
Oh, shit. Okay. Damn.
I say that shit, I fucking mean it.
Where's this raw energy coming from? So I want to go ahead and, let's talk through, and I almost feel like I need some award music or something like that playing in the background. But, what were some of your high points of this year? Some of your favorite movies or some of your favorite moments we've had on the pod. What are some of them? And I feel like I got to start with Dan, because I don't know. I feel like Dan's just the life of the party.
Yeah. Okay. My favorite movies, looking back at the list of movies we've watched and things we've reviewed, there's actually quite a bit of pretty good ones out there, actually. But I think some of my favorites that stood out to me would be The Void. I just fucking love that movie. One that we did, one that we did recently, His House. I thought that was
that's another one.
Extremely powerful and just really, really good one. And then a third one would be Killer Sofa.
Oof.
Yeah.
That was great, and it was unexpectedly great, and I just had a great time watching that. And then I think favorite moments, sort of not just what we reviewed, but I think moments, 2 moments on our podcast that really stuck out to me. One would be the Keebler elves, when we were talking about Keebler elves on our Ringu episode, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
And then when Bonner set off your smoke detector, that shit was funny.
Oh my God.
I think those were my 2 favorite moments.
All right. Nico, what were some of your favorite moments, man?
I'll start with movies and then go to moments. I just want to give a couple shout outs to a few of the ones that we reviewed here over the past year. In particular, I'm going to start with 1986's The Fly. Sweet fucking pogo stick hopping. Christ, I was not ready for that movie.
Yeah.
Like, that was something that brought it to a whole new fucking level in terms of monster design, body horror, all of that. I also want to give a really quick shout out to one of perhaps the most eye-opening movies that we reviewed. Insidious was remarkably mediocre, and God, I had hyped that up in my head for so long. The other one, the last one that I will add on here is, if you haven't seen it yet, #Alive is so good.
Yeah, that was really good one.
My favorite moments from the podcast, though, I think one of my favorite moments, selfishly, is when I was just ranting during the Haunting of Bly Manor episode because I still maintain that shit is just fucking prime A money shit. It's so good. Go watch it. And then the other moment that I want to highlight is something that happened also a little recently. You still never explain what the fuck it means to yoke your scrot.
Oh yeah, you haven't.
Should I do that for this first anniversary episode?
Can
what
you
it
even?
Means to yoke
Can
your
you
scrot?
utter those profane words? Can they leave your lips?
Oh, they've left.
I think instead you should tell everyone what your favorite moments were.
All right, you're right about that. We'll have to leave that for another episode. So, I think in terms of movies, I'm gonna go ahead and follow the lead and lead with that. Probably some of the ones that I love that haven't been mentioned already because we've mentioned a couple that I really liked. I fucked heavily with Color Out of Space.
Yes. Yes.
I thought that was spectacular, and I can't wait to see what they've got coming down the pipeline for the next one. I also really, really, really fucked with Underwater.
Yes.
That was one where I did not expect it. And I feel like Kristen Stewart keeps getting shit on in just a lot of different circles of Hollywood.
Sure, yeah.
But this is one thing, and I've long been a staunch defender, but I think that this you can't watch this movie and tell me that Kristen Stewart can't act or that Kristen Stewart isn't good in movies. If you think that way, you've got a shit opinion. And if you've got a shit opinion, I've got a bucket of shit for you. So
you just keep buckets of
a bucket
shit.
of shit on hand.
Yeah, you just
Yep.
you're on that medieval tip like that.
I mean, do you not have a latrin outside the back of your house?
I
what?
also don't have a fucking chamber pot.
A latrin?
A what?
I don't have a latrin or a chamber pot, nor do I have a vomitorium or any other such nonsense.
Well, a vomitorium is just poppycock, but I mean,
Yeah. Well, why don't you yoke your scrot?
and I will, and go on to the next one. The last movie that I think I'm going to shout out here, never yoke your scrot in the vomitorium, by the way. But the last movie I want to bring up is Blood Quantum, because that was one that really I love the way that, especially, I feel like in a lot of the movies we reviewed, and not to overly congratulate ourselves, but we've watched a lot of horror where it's almost kind of a reclaiming of a space in the community almost. Like that's the first American horror I've
Native
realistically
American.
ever seen. Like that is really it's something where it's just like I'm glad I had the opportunity to not only see it but also big it up. You know what I mean? And tell people like this is something I really enjoyed. So I love that. And in terms of moments, I mean, geez, we've had a lot of fun on this podcast. I think for me, one of them is definitely our little skit we put together where
How did I
Those are
forget?
fun,
Dan,
man.
Dan, you played a ghost who is maybe suffering with a little spiritual dysfunction, but thankfully we managed to get that sorted out.
pills
That
for that.
one, and also the one where we were some werewolf hunters.
Oh yeah, the
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 radio show.
wolfening rondo
Yeah,
of silver bullets or
Bullets.
some shit.
Yeah.
Yes, the wolfening rondo of silver bullets. That's oh my god, that's a classico right there for sure in the making. But yeah, those are some of my favorite moments. But as we always say on the pod, with the good must come the bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you guys, out of all the the films we watched this year, and I think to be honest, I feel like if we put a real number on it, it has to be somewhere around 53-ish, maybe a little bit, maybe a couple more, but I feel like it's around 53 that we've seen for the year. Not counting some other stuff. But Nico, what would be the movie that you saw this year? And this doesn't have to be the one, but just one that comes to mind where you didn't really enjoy it, one of your lesser favorite ones.
So I'm not going to go for the low-hanging fruit, dear listeners, don't worry. But what I will say is, while I do like Hellraiser more, I still think it's not as good as y'all say it is. I look forward to seeing the sequels, but I don't know.
Fair enough.
Well, first off, you can look forward to seeing 2, for sure. I don't know. I don't know about the rest. But you can look forward to 2. But no, I mean, I'm surprised at you. I'm surprised that you feel that way. But we'll endeavor to correct your wrong think. Dan, what was a moment for you where it was like, I don't know about this?
I think for me was Krampus. I'm gonna go with Krampus.
Krampus.
Yeah.
That was a good episode, though.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be amazing, but I don't know. I just feel like it really wasn't that great. We immediately watched a much better Santa themed movie, Santa Jaws, and that was a lot better.
Santa Jaws.
I forgot about Santa Jaws.
All right. I mean, I guess from my perspective, I'm going to have to go ahead and say perhaps my least favorite movie on this pod, and definitely probably the one I gave my strongest opinion of, Ghost Stories. I hadn't thought about that movie since we reviewed it, but while getting ready for this one, I had Ghost Stories, written down, and I felt angry, just felt mad inside.
Yeah.
Didn't know why until I thought about the movie again. But yeah.
Still better than Child's Play.
We'll see about that. But that's still definitely one that, it really just gets me the wrong way.
Really grinds your gears.
Yeah. And before we kind of, move on, is there anything else this year that you want to big up or highlight that we did for the people?
I, in particular, want to say the dinner party was so fucking rad. And so cool to get to talk to director Miles Doliak about that. And that's one of the favorite things I've seen come of this podcast for sure.
Dan, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say I really enjoyed interviewing Miles Doliak and getting his insight on the film and just filmmaking process and everything as well. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully doing more of that kind of stuff in the future too.
Okay. And personally, I think the one thing that I liked was we had our first, we did a Let's Play for World of Horror. And let me just say, playing that game with you guys was mad fun. I thought it was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. And, hopefully we get to do stuff like that again, which hint, we might talk about in a little bit. But, I feel like we also, no one really makes it on your own. And we owe a lot of thanks to a lot of different people. So let's start with thank you so much to you, the listener. I mean, if you guys weren't listening, we would just be talking to ourselves. So thank you so much for, following us, listening to us, rant and rave about maybe some things you never thought you'd hear in a horror podcast. Yoking your scrote, soups on the stove, Keebler elves, calling Ed and Lorraine Warren for every little thing. You can expect to hear these things on, well, hopefully not yoking your scrote, but you can expect to hear these things on,
you'll smell before you hear it.
Jesus Christ, on the podcast. So are there any people that you want to thank? I mean, I've got a couple myself, but I feel like Dan, once again, he's the lead. Go ahead, Dan.
Dude.
I would like to shout out my brother, Steve. He's been listening to every episode, and he's actually not even really a horror fan, at all. But he's been supporting us from day one, and he even suggested that we read the Severed graphic novel, which I thought was really awesome too. So thank you. And really just thank you to, everyone else who has been listening. I mean, it started as three friends talking about horror, and that's still what it is, but it's just cool that people want to listen to us talk,
All right. Nico, who do you want to give a shout out to, bro?
So I want to give a particular shout out to Desi. You're awesome, and I really appreciate your friendship first and foremost. But Desi is another fan of the podcast, similar to Steven, who has been interacting a lot and offered up some great suggestions and talking points, and just really wanted to say that you're rad as hell.
All right, and then I'm gonna apologize here because I'm about to let loose with some word vomit, but there's just so many people that I've talked to that I got to give. And there's so many people that I'm not going to get a chance to shout out. So, if we're cool, you know who you are. But there's a couple people I definitely want to shout out, Quiet on Set. Those guys have bigged us up, really helped us out. Crash Palace and Promote Horror. You fucking amazing, outstanding. Thank you so much. Behind the Screams podcast. Again, dope. Folk Horror Revival. Now, this is interesting because these are some of the most... I learned so much from Folk Horror Revival about things that I didn't know. And, as always, Benji Box as well. Benji Box is the plug. If you need some underground shit that you had you didn't know this movie existed, the things I've seen on this person's Twitter feed, it's been insane. It's been insane. So just, a quick shout out to all those people. And last but not least, definitely again, I do want to shout out Miles Doliak for coming onto the pod and talking with us. as well as Clint Morris for helping us get that set up. Thanks to both of you, because it's been great. And, I kind of want to close this one out by talking about what are some of the things we're looking forward to in the future. I mean, Dan, what do you think? What do you think we're going to be heading into as we go into this brave new year?
I'm looking forward to exploring horror in different mediums.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, we've done, graphic novel, but I'm really excited to start doing other things. Again, we've done also, video game, but I really want to dive into that kind of stuff more. Books, artwork, just music, anything like that. That's aside from just the standard movies, which are awesome, but I just really want to see how horror plays out in other mediums.
All right. Nico, anything from your end?
I'm just looking forward to ways in which we will continue to be us while still just like having a blast talking about horror, regardless of what that looks like, whether it's on a podcast, whether it's through a Let's Play, whether it's through some sort of blood ritual sacrifice. I'm open to everything.
Classic.
Yeah.
I guess from my perspective, I want to learn more about the industry a little bit. I want to talk to more people. I want to talk to, like special effects people, cinematography people. I want to, even maybe somebody, I don't know, somebody did, because there's some stuff that, I can't talk about quite yet, but I just want to expand the range of our interviews and just kind of our learning process as well. Also, and, to your point, Nico, I'm excited just to see what we kind of come up with down the line, because
your blood will be first.
Wow. And because, I think that we had started this, and one of the things we'd wanted to do was we wanted to meet people. Like we wanted to go to, horror conventions, see films and stuff with like-minded people. And unfortunately, that's been kind of cut short. But, we wait with bated breath until the day that we can do that once more. Like we said, dear listener, thank you so much for supporting this podcast. We really wouldn't be anywhere without you. Keep yourself safe. We know that, this actually, it's funny because this year, first year of the podcast, almost exactly 1 month away, lines up with how long we've been going through this pandemic bullshit. So, we hope everyone's really doing good. We say it almost every episode, I think, but we really hope people are doing good. And if you need someone to talk to, we're here. We're on social media. Hit us up. We love talking about random shit, horror movies, whatever. You've heard what we talk about. We got a broad range of interests.
Yeah, I'll fucking say.
Yeah. So we'll close this like we always do. Please, be kind to one another. For sure, be kind to one another. Keep yourself safe. And as always, please, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.